And I'm live. Tuesday, August 20th. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. So, we're going to start looking at the QQQ today. And we're going to look at just our market symmetry here with the GAN. And it looks like price does want to continue higher after all. And the target is ultimately going to be at least 530 for the QQQ. And apparently everything's looking great, right? It's a little bit flat pre-market, down just a little bit, no big deal. But one thing I also wanted to point out to you guys is the Fibonacci extension level. If you go to the previous all-time high here and the low down here, just an estimation, you can see something interesting that when you zoom in here for the QQQ, you can see that the 1.414 is back to a support, right? So that means, in my opinion, 472.26, around that zone, 472. That's looking like more and more it's going to be the support range for the QQQ and could be the new base that it's going to be building to continue up higher. And you can see before the 1.618 extension was the resistance last time, right? So now that's probably going to be some resistance in the future around 503, and then that will slowly be broken to continue higher. Oh, Danny Chang, good morning. How's it going? Yeah, so QQQ is looking ready to go back to the 500s with support being at 472 essentially. And if I even put on the Ichimoku here, you can see that it's still way above the conversion and baseline down there as well. So lots of support now, and I believe it's just going to start trending higher with maybe a new base around 472. Oh, you want to look at PANW already, right? Palo Alto Networks. Okay, so here is my PANW. I'll just make it bigger for you guys. I'll just take off the Ichimoku so we can see the symmetry of it all, because you can see everything is 100% bullish with this one. You can see it's above everything. The only thing is there was kind of like a little bearish cross right there with the baseline below the conversion, but that doesn't really matter because I think the market symmetry is really stronger than anything. And you can clearly see by this right here that this is the 45-degree angle right here. And it was a massive support, then it was a massive resistance, and guess what it is now? It flipped back to a support, right? And even with that scary Monday, it did open below the support, but then it went up higher. So it looks like the target to me is going back towards this blue level again, which is around 367. And the 367 level is looking like it really is the target. And support is going to be that 45-degree angle still. And some of the indicators above it are that Ichimoku. Are there any moving averages above it? No, there's not. But the Ichimoku, yeah, so you can say the conversion line is around 315, around there. So that could be some of your support on a week-to-week basis. But I think the way it's looking, especially 351 pre-market, it's gapping up a little bit, right? So I think it's going to go up before it goes down, right? That's what it's looking like. I appreciate the support, Danny. Thank you so much. And let's see here. We wanted to look at the SPY, right? The SPY. So this is on a month-to-month basis. And something interesting is really happening here, that ARK is flipping to a support, right? Earlier on in the month, we were like, maybe it's going to lose that and get rejected, but the support wanted to hold, right? And that really means to me that it wants to gravitate higher. And the next level up here is going to be maybe a 624 resistance level up there. And then ultimately, I can see this blue level getting hit at the 690s, 688, just simply because of market symmetry. You can see that it did already successfully backtest the orange level, so there's no need to go back there again. and it did flip this to a support, and the chance to go retest it was kind of like back here to go retest it. So now probably not going to happen. So I can see price just continuing, maybe drifting higher to sideways a little bit until it gets to the next level, and so on and so forth. And if we put on the Ichimoku there for the monthly chart, that does sit at 509, and that hit kind of perfectly when that Monday scare was, right? But everything is still trending higher and nothing to worry about whatsoever. And if you put on the weekly indicators, it still looks 100% bullish right there as well. So I think your really solid support is going to be around 537, maybe down to 529. But once it breaks these previous all-time highs here, around 565, then I think it'll be game on to go to the 600s after that. But it might have a little battle here and be some resistance, so it could take some weeks to get above it. So we'll see where this week closes. All right, let's see Baba. Alibaba. So just on a week-to-week basis, I don't see it breaking out yet. You can see clearly it was trying to get to the top of the cloud, even to the back to my purple angle there, but could not. And even pre-market is going back down. So that really means it might want to retest support within the cloud here. And that kind of sits around maybe 79, maybe $78. And worst case could come back to the bottom of the cloud there to go to the 75. So it's not ready at all to break out yet. You can see the downtrend is still intact, right? Still trending down. So I'm not going to get bullish on this until it really gets back above my angle here and above the cloud, above both really. So essentially that'll be weekly candle closes above like 87 I would like to see, and then after that I can see some more continuation higher. And NVIDIA and so NVIDIA, it's a little bit down pre-market, but you can see why. It's essentially getting into a resistance zone, right, with some higher lows, because you have this high up here in the 140s, then a higher low, then another higher low, right? So essentially, it's just in this resistance zone, so it's kind of making sense what's going on. And I think it just needs more time to maybe find a new little floor before it goes higher. So what I really see is it is possible to get back down to like the mid 115s or 120 again, especially when you put on the monthly chart here. You can see that it already did wick down to the conversion line there, so it's not going to be necessary to go down there. But it could be necessary to come back and retest the 45, maybe around 110, 115 eventually in the future. But on a weekly basis, it's looking more and more likely that this starting after this week, this conversion line might start to rise again, right? And if that happens, then the support will be rising with it. So I think that'll be okay for the future. And all the moving averages are way down there, so everything is still really bullish. What I'm really looking at though is on my log scale chart for NVIDIA. Where is my log scale chart? I'm really watching this level right here. Now that it's back above 120 right here, I'm really watching to see where the month closes, where the weeks close, where everything closes, because it was kind of like a support in the beginning, then it lost it. Now it's like a V bottom. So if this 120, 121 level holds as a support, then I really can see it just building a base on top of it. And then it's ready to go to the 200s after that. Well, after it's got to break the previous all-time highs first, of course. But as long as this base holds and it doesn't go down to the 113 or 110s, I think it can really build a base here, then challenge the previous all-time highs in the weeks to come, maybe the months to come. And then after that, it'll be able to continue higher to the 200s, right? So it's really looking bullish, but I'm going to watch that 120 level the most on my log scale chart for NVIDIA. And Tesla, we all want to see Tesla, right? So yeah, this is my log scale chart for Tesla, and just a perfect V bottom there so far. The top of the arc was a perfect support, almost hit it exactly on the penny, right? With that scary Monday. And going back to the Ichimoku, just on a week-to-week basis, what do we see here? Well, it's back into the cloud, right? Pre-market, it's up here in the 224s, almost 225s. So what does that really mean? It's going into a resistance zone, right? It still is in that zone. Like yesterday, it started with the 219s. Now the top of that zone is going to be from 225 all the way up to maybe 227 or so. So that's going to be your resistance zone. We'll see if it can close the week above that, but right now it's going to be maybe a challenge, right? So we'll see if it can do it this week or maybe next week or whatnot. But it's at the top end of the zone. This is where I'm always most cautious because things don't always break through it the very first time, right? And this is the very first time since it broke below it. So we'll see what happens with that. But just keep an eye on the 227 level for the rest of the week. If it can close above that level, then I think there could be a continuation higher. But if not, then there could be a retest of some support below going into next week, right? So that's one thing I just am watching now. Now that the support held down here and it's back in the cloud, I'm just really looking to see if it can get above that resistance right now. And if it does, then it'll challenge the previous highs over here in the 260s as well. And one other thing with Tesla too is I really want this new support to hold now. The 382, the 221. I want daily candles to continue to close above it. I want the week to close above it. I want that to become support now. And if it does, then I think it'll be step by step to get above that 227 resistance on its way up to the 258 fib up there. Okay, let's see. We'll go with PayPal, PYPL. So PayPal pre-market's at 70. On a week-to-week basis, it's at resistance, and it's with this wick right here, right? I want to see kind of a weekly candle close above it. And that level is 70.66 exactly, right? So we'll keep an eye on this weekly chart. If it can close above, if not, then possibly it can come back down and maybe find a support, right? But look at this cloud, right? See, the first time it's on the top side of the cloud since up here. But this was a downtrend, right? It's really like when it was in an uptrend, it was nice. But seriously, that's even been since October of 2021. That's a long time, right? A long time. And look what last time happened after it went above the cloud over here, right? It just kept going higher and higher. So this is a good situation to be in right now. And no matter how low it goes from here, it's probably the max pain is probably going to be that angle below again, around 64, 65. But I think if it did do a successful backtest, then it would just be a very bullish scenario to continue up into the 80s and ultimately to the orange level up here to the 90s and beyond in the future. So this chart, in my opinion, even though it really never made a higher high yet from here, but that's fine. This is now a bullish looking chart and it looks like it really just wants to go higher, even if it does consolidate back down to the 65s, right? And we'll see here, best BTC minor chart and why. Conversely, worst and why. Well, let's see here. I think some of the best might be like WULF or IREN, just because you can see that they're breaking back above a lot of support here. And with WULF, you can see that it's back above the conversion line, but it is still battling resistance. I think no matter what, all of them are still battling resistance, but you just got to pick the ones that are battling the least resistance. And like WULF and maybe IREN here, it's at least IREN's back on top of my 45-degree angle, and it has a ways to go to get to its resistance up into like the $10 range. But I think I like WULF the most. And HUT 8 is getting up there. Which one is the least favorite? I would say that's RIOT. And RIOT is because it keeps making lower lows, right? Look at that. It's just lost this support. If you just drew a horizontal line right here, you can see it was support, 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 flip to resistance, right? I don't like charts that do that. I like charts that hold support and keep their support. And now every time price gets back up to this 880 level or even $9, it might be a challenge to break through. So the worst looking chart, in my opinion, is RIOT, because it lost its long-term support right there. Yeah, CORZ is good, but I let me go to log scale for CORZ. CORZ Light. Here we go. Right. This is the weekly chart, and it's good. I like it, but this is massive resistance right here. Massive, right? And I needed to see it break before it can I can get really excited about it, right? Because you can't really see any candles close above my orange level. 0, right? Not even this one closed above, it closed below, right? It opened above, but the candle closed below my orange level. So this is proven to be, this 1060 level is proven to be super massive resistance. And until it closes a weekly candle above it, not just a daily candle, a weekly candle, I'm not going to be super excited about it, even though the market structure is good. But it's looking like right now, it's looking like a topping formation to me, because it never closed a weekly candle above it once, right? So I'm just a little cautious at resistance, and that's why I still like WULF a little bit better. It's just simply because it already had that V bottom down there, and it's already recovering above certain resistance levels, while this resistance level has proven to be very, very strong so far. So I always need charts to prove me wrong before I get excited, because the time to be happy is when it retests support, and the support was down here, right? And the $7, and now it's at resistance. So buy support, don't buy resistance, right? Until it breaks, And WGMI. Valkyrie Bitcoin miners. Yeah, so support held on that one pretty nicely, and it's on its way up to resistance right there. So that means resistance is going to be maybe around 20 to 2150, 2123 in that zone. But I like how it held this support, especially looking to the left. There's a lot of demand over here too with these candles. So it's looking good for a support being held, but it's approaching faster and faster the resistance zone, which could run into some problems here. So we'll see. We'll see if it can break through that this week or next. But yeah, just keep an eye on that $20 to $21 level. Oh, and somebody did Apple. I missed that one. And Apple here is essentially really bullish, right? It's above the conversion line 216 on the weekly chart. Nothing to complain about with this chart. The only resistance above now is going to be the previous all-time highs into the 230s. So I can see it just being kind of range bound right now until it gets enough time to break through this 235, 237 level, right? So right now it's just supports 216, resistance 235, just in that range. Anytime it gets back to support could be a good opportunity. And then got to wait until it breaks resistance to continue higher. All right, we got 9 minutes to the market open. Oh, Amazon, I see that coming through. And Amazon is actually looking good, right? Started with last week. It got above resistance last week, and then it held it this week as support. So that's looking good, right? And it's looking really good, especially because the conversion and the baseline are exactly on the same level, right? And if I pull up a linear scale version, because that was the log scale. Here we go. Now I can see my resistance clearly, right? And so that's 177, or sorry, 176, 176.41. That's going to be my weekly support. And my weekly resistance is going to be all the way up here around 188, 189. That's my GAN level up there. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a continuation up to the 189 and see if it can break that level. It had a challenge before, right? The challenge before was once, twice. It did break through, but that was just like maybe a liquidity grab to get all those short coverings, and then it just went lower, right? If I take off that Ichimoku, go out, you can see how massive of a resistance zone that is with the previous all-time highs back in 2021, right? It was really, really a challenge to break through back then. Still was a challenge back then. So it's still going to be probably a challenge to get above that 189 for Amazon. But I think that's where price might drift towards, right? I think that's the direction, but not going to get super excited with that one until it can really start closing more and more weekly candles above that level, because it's proven to be a very, very strong resistance level. So just got to keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at Palantir pre-market. So yeah, it's down a little bit pre-market, but the good news is these GAN arcs are proven to be pretty solid, right? Look what happened. It closed last week above it, and now it's support, right? You can see that wick right down there to the bottom of the arc, right? They work like magic sometimes. So as long as that support holds, I can see price going to the 33 level and then to the 7.1 Fibonacci, and ultimately the 786 right up here around 36.64. So I can see that happening, but again, one level at a time. And I think I do like my log scale chart a little bit better for Palantir, simply because it's paying attention to this angle, all right? This angle is what I'm really looking at, and I want to see at least a weekly candle close, maybe in the 33s, just so it kind of flips this angle to a support. And you can see here that it was like resistance, resistance, going back in time, resistance, bullish engulfing, back to resistance, right? Going back more in time, you can see it as a support, support, right? And a V bottom there to confirm it as support. So that angle, in my opinion, is super important. And let's see here. Yeah. So if it closes this week, maybe in the 33s, then the next week it would have to maintain that 33 to continue higher, right? you see how upward sloping this angle is. So it has to keep climbing the ladder to get to the 36 level. So this is what I'm really watching. Week after week, I want this to maintain support now. And if this does maintain support, then by the time it's September 16th, the week of September 16th, 2024, then it'll be $36, right? And that's what I'm really looking at. And so it's going to be a week-to-week basis to see if this support can hold, because anytime a weekly candle closes below it again, then it might come back down and retest the support zone, right? And currently that support zone is the $30 level, which I showed you right here. It's the 618 Fibonacci, and that's the $30 level. But before that, it's got to break this arc right here, which is currently 3180. So that's the first level, and this is the second level of support right down here. What company is that? Is this company? You posted a link, and I'm on my screen here, so you would have to tell me which company that is, because I didn't click the link. Oh, let's see. CSCO and Coca-Cola. CSCO Systems here had a great, fantastic week, up 8.78%. This week is starting out pretty well too. We'll just go to the monthly chart here just to see our GAN, and I want to just show you some things with CSCO that is interesting, right? You can see even since the dot-com boom and bust, right? You can see how symmetrical it still was. It reached the top level there, the green level at $80, and then back to the orange level. It was important. Then you can see price, the blue level was support, right? And then the green level was resistance here going across. But what's really standing out to me just by using this alone is it couldn't hold the blue level. Now it can't even hold the 45 or the arcs, right? It even went back up to the top arc here, lost it, or confirmed it as resistance. And now it's going back up to the bottom, right? And you can see the bottom arc here was a resistance right here. And it's been a resistance right here. So in my opinion, it's going up to resistance, and that level of resistance is around 5150, right? So just by using this alone, it's still looking like it's in a big monthly downtrend, and it's possible to even come back down and test the blue level right there around $40. But let's see if that is going to be there any support below that now. So the one thing I can point out here is this monthly chart is getting back into the cloud, and it's getting back above the conversion and baseline. So it's looking more and more likely that $48 is going to be your support, maybe even down here to the 48.35. Yeah, so 48.56 down to 48.35. That's really your support. So it's not really necessary anymore for me to think it's going to go down here anymore, because it's getting more and more bullish by being back in the cloud. But as you can see, what's lining up with the arc? Well, it's the top of the cloud there. So anything around $51, I think is going to start to be massive resistance for CSCO, and not sure if it's going to break through. And Coca-Cola. Yeah, look at that. So many months of green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, like over 10 of them, right? It's crazy. It is also at all-time highs for the month, and it just looks like it wants to continue to go higher. So monthly chart looks fantastic. Weekly chart. Yeah, so essentially the weekly support is around $66 down there. And it looks like it's struggling to break out even more. So it's been 4 weeks around this target. And now this is a red candle, right? So if this week can't really break above, or the following weeks can't, it might go back down and test support. And that's currently around $66. And the lower levels of support around $63, $64. But really bullish chart. It's just concerning how it doesn't really want to go higher, but it's kind of obvious why it doesn't, because there's been so many monthly candles in a row, almost like a full year of green candles for Coca-Cola. So just need to give it time. Give it time to find a new base to build higher. And let's see, we have the market open now before I get to other requests here. So there we are. ARK is positive. Tesla is up $3. NVIDIA down $1. Amazon, crowd. Yeah. Everything's looking pretty good so far, right? Pretty good. Palantir is green now. ABAT. What is that? ABAT? No. American Battery. I don't like charts like this, so I never see these as a good opportunity. That's just my opinion. Simply because that they're in a downtrend, right? They keep making lower lows. But one thing, if you want to look at the weekly chart, it is finally back above the conversion line. So you can consider 102 a support now, unless it breaks again, right? And the possibility to go back up to the 175 is there, right? So if you want to take that risk and do it, but these charts are not for me. Anything that keeps making lower lows, I avoid. Let's see, RDFN. Redfin, yeah, it's getting back into the cloud here. That looks pretty good. It held all that support. So now I'm going to consider $8 support, and the resistance is going to be up here at $11. So it has some room to run now, which is a good sign for Redfin. AEHR. Yeah, let's take a look at AEHR. So this one, yeah, it's kind of finding a base around there, right? And it is still stuck. So I'm going to say the resistance is going to be here at 1564, and the support is going to be down here in the 10s still, maybe 11s, because it is trying to build a base here, but still lots of resistance. It couldn't even break above here, which means that it's not really ready yet. So just got to give it time. But yeah, these charts, they're stuck under resistance, trying to build a base. It could go either way. TRX. Yeah, TRX is going up, and this week has the potential to make a higher high, right? So this chart is looking really bullish. It has been looking really bullish, though, if you really look at it. Let's zoom out here. Yeah, it's been really, really bullish here for a while, right? Ever since it broke through the cloud here, it's been in an uptrend, and that was the time to get excited, you know, because you can see it was below the cloud for a while, and then finally in the 7 cents, it was breaking above with a successful back test too, and then it just kept going higher. So yeah, things look pretty good for a continuation, and I think I saw a post from blockchain backer saying something about the 702. Yeah, like there it is. It's at the 786 now, right? So there you go. 15 cents. That's the resistance right there. Let's see if it can close the week above it or not. But I think it's at a resistance point right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. See you, Chris. Yeah. Oh, I saw a request RHB Bank. Is this it? RHB? I'm not sure. If this is it, then yeah, it's looking good. It's looking like it wants to maybe test these previous highs up here around 630, right? So it's got some room to go still a little bit. All right, back to the markets here. Let's see, the Dow is down 77. The SPY is up. QQQ is up. IWM, haven't really looked at that one. And IWM is looking really good, right? It's flipping these back to a support. Love it. So that means 212.67 is your support, and your resistance is still going to be this 3.618 Fibonacci from the high a long time ago. And that's been some serious resistance, which lines up with the ARC as well. So that's going to be something to break. Like, I want to see weekly candles close back above 221. And if it does, then price can continue higher. But so far, your support's going to be 212 and your resistance is going to be like 221 right there. And one last look before we go. Yeah, so things are kind of relatively flat today. Nothing too exciting. But overall, things are doing exactly what they should, and we'll see if Tesla can get above the 227 today. That zone, right? 226.50 at least. We'll see, right? But a lot of things are approaching some resistance territories, right? Especially NVIDIA, Tesla, and some of those, right? So just gotta be patient with that. And Amazon is getting up there too for the resistance of the 188s. It still has some room to go though. But those are your numbers, and I'll see you guys